Is everything alright at home? Like, what's going on? Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Melody. I am currently 27 years old. I am also a virgin and I am beautifully plus sized, as well as I'm also just recently engaged. This video is basically going to be going into basically all those 4 factors and how they've got me to the position that I'm at now. I'm doing this to not only have like something to watch back like when I'm older to see how I thought and how I actually got here, because you know how your memories can fade if you don't actually write them down. So I want to do that, but also to maybe help people, give people some hope, like all my sisters out there, because you may be shocked to how I actually got to this position. It may not be what you had thought, but yeah, if this can help someone in any way, if you guys can relate in any way, that would be great as well. But before we start, if you're new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. Also like this video. If you're not familiar with my content, I do haul videos, plus size fashion videos, as well as I do weight loss videos, especially now more than ever, because you know we need to get snatched. And also I do vlogs on my life. And I'm also going to be doing more wedding content as I, you know, go on the road or the journey to marriage. So yeah, if you are interested in that, please subscribe to my channel. So I'm gonna try and make this talk as interesting as possible with like my editing, but Lord help me. And I'm also gonna try and keep this short, but the likelihood of that is, you know, very small. But anyways, as I said before, I'm 27 and I'm a virgin. I'm gonna tackle that part first. So I've been raised as a Christian. I've been with the Lord since 08, honey. That was cringe. So I was raised a Christian and I'm also a Christian. However, I haven't been, let's say, consistent throughout that whole time. I was raised with the principles of, you know, close your legs, honey. Close your legs. And I remember when my mum first sat me down, very bizarre. I literally know it like so specifically, like where my mum sat me down was basically like, sis, honey, if they tell you that they love you, they're lying. Close your legs. Do you know what I mean? And it's so weird because I remember her like sitting us down and talking to us about it, and in my mind I was like, I'm never gonna have sex anyway. Like, ew, that just sounds very disturbing. I'm just like, why would I want to do that? Like for me, as a young child, I was like, there's no way that I'm gonna do that anyway, because it's just not appealing to me. And I was like, I'm never gonna have sex. So anyways, now fast forward, you get to uni now. This is where you're kind of coming into yourself as more of as a woman. I still identified as a Christian, but I wasn't actually, you know, acting out as a Christian. I would say I was Christian more by name. Actually, let me just go back. So basically my original reason for being a virgin was because I just thought it was icky. My mom said that, you know, they don't love you, which I might add is, it's weird. It's so weird that she sat there and I said that, but do you know how many times, how many guys have told me that they love me or try to finesse their way in order to try and have sex with me? It's actually mad. It's actually mad. Like, you think it's a joke, but they actually say that. They actually say things like that. So anyways, now, so yes, the original reason is because I didn't, I just thought it was, you know, disgusting. I was like, why do people do this? And as I obviously grew up, I was like, okay. When you watch the movies and stuff and they romanticize, I'm like, oh, that looks kind of steamy, do you know what I mean? But by the time I got to uni, I had it in my mind that I'll either lose my virginity by if I fell in love with someone, right? That's outside of marriage, or just waiting onto marriage. So basically the barrier to getting into my pants is me basically being in love with you. Thankfully it was quite hard for me to fall in love, so that was it was an interesting way how that actually panned out. I want you guys to understand how I perceived my virginity. I guess I also should insert my plus size in it. So I've always kind of been like a very like chubby kind of kid. However, once I got to, I want to say college, that's when I was like making it like an intentional thing to lose weight, because obviously I didn't like it. From like the first year of uni, more the second year, but for the first year, I gradually from college was like losing weight, and relatively for the majority of my uni time till like I want to say 23, 24, I was relatively like slim. I wouldn't say slim thick, maybe slim for my build because I'm 5'10", but thick, like I was like a good, like I was what you'd call a normal aesthetic looking build, if that makes any sense. So then as I obviously got into uni and stuff, I think I was getting to like one of like, I wouldn't say like kind of like my peak in a sense. The attention from guys was like a lot. I had it before in college, but it just, you know, it just grew even more in university as well. I would have a lot of encounters, should I say, with guys where, you know, they would do very interesting, you know, things just to have like, you know, sex with me. I would have guys, you know, literally beg, use very like manipulative tactics. And because I feel like I was coming from a perspective of someone who was a virgin, I had the ability to be very analytical and like look back and be like, like see it for what it was. So I actually found it quite like amusing. In my mind, you can see it as very like twisted, but I saw it as power. It really empowered me, because I'm like, wow, it's something that is in, you know, high demand, that these guys will do anything for, you know. If I tell you if I tell you the things that guys will say to me to get into my pants, it's mad. I'm like, is everything all right at home? Like, what's going on? You know, they will also do the thing, you know, when you're you know, making out stuff, the eyes will kind of like glaze over, like as if they were like possessed, like in a trance. And for me, I found it so like empowering, like I had control, I had power, and this is the thing that gave me power. So in my mind, even though, you know, if you'd asked me, I would say I was a Christian. I wasn't a virgin because I was a Christian. I was a virgin because it gave me power, because I saw the power that it gave me over men. Basically, it was a very interesting thing to like, for me, like, well, now that I look back at it, because I'm like, you know, I didn't think there was anything wrong, I'm not gonna lie, with with like how I thought. I always perceived how guys would discard of girls, just from college, and I always kind of was in my mind was like, oh, I don't want to be that person, because I would see how they would talk about girls like in the is it the communal, like, you know, the place in college where everyone would like chill, like at the cafeteria area, and everyone chill. Like, I would hear guys like talk about like girls and stuff, and for me that was like my worst nightmare. Like, if you had met me at that time, my worst nightmare was to trend on Twitter and to be talked about like in a group of guys. So I didn't want anything to do with that. What I did find though is that when I went to university, now, you know, you're away, you know, you have your feelings, you want to make out and stuff. In my mind, I saw it also as like a training ground. Lord deliver me. Okay, I saw it as a training ground. So in my mind, I would see guys as, okay, this is training experience, because I want to be a great kisser. I'm going to like have men, because I'm like, they can literally use women how they want. So in my mind, I was on my little Kim flex. I'm like, I can use men how I want. So listen, I want to get better at like kissing. I want to make sure like I'm on point. So when I do decide to be serious and settle down with like a boyfriend or husband, I'm gonna have the tricks and stuff, but I'm not gonna let them get to the point. So my thing was anything but the sex to me was permissible. Apart from really like, I mean, head as well, like that's another thing, but that was just because I just did not want to, like, the thought of giving head was very degrading to me, and it just was never something that was what's the word, I ever desired. So that was actually quite easy. Now, you know, the other way around, that's a different story, but you know, we're with the Lord. Anyways, the point of the matter is that basically I was a virgin because of power. This is what was the foundation to why I guess I have lasted this long in terms of being a virgin. It's also worth noting that being a virgin, I also had it at the back of my mind. It was kind of like a status thing as well in my mind. I thought that I was, in the Christian world, somewhat, I won't say better, but I'm like, oh, I've earned, like, I'm like a, different level because, I've, kept it closed kind of thing. Okay, guys, I've just changed my mind. This is probably going to be the first part, because I'm going to do this in parts. I'm going to talk about more of like the virginity aspect of things in this video, and then I'm going to do like a part 2, part 3, where I talk about the plus size aspect to it. And yeah, so you can guys kind of have a really good understanding of how I think came together. Otherwise, this video is going to be 2 hours long and anybody got time for that. So to just reiterate, so it was because of power and also because of status at this point. That is why I was a virgin. The third thing that came to play is that I actually, because I had been a virgin for so long, and I think just because of my nature, I'm a very like analytical person. I like to really like understand what's happening. And for me, I do feel like being a virgin allowed me to have like a layer of distance, to not be as emotionally invested in things. Even though I was to a degree. I mean, I've had my heart broken for like half a day before, but that's the most, because ain't no I was about to go on my city girl flex, but the Lord took me back. The point is, it was quite, I'd put a barrier that until I love someone. But it's the weirdest thing that it was actually quite hard for me to fall in love. Like, my fiance now is literally the only person I've ever been in love with in my whole entire life. Because coming from the background of being a virgin for so long, you're able to kind of like understand and read guys better. In a sense, you can see things. I felt like I can see past the BS a lot sooner. And also I had this thing where I would wait, it was not even a wait. I would want to talk to a guy on the phone for like 2 months before I actually saw them. I don't know why, but for me, I was just like, basically I basically saw things as, I'm gonna get what I want out of this. Because I was a very on my little Kim flex. I'm like, guys aren't ish. They get what they want. They can manipulate, do whatever they want to get what they want at the end of the day. Why can't I do the same? So in my mind, I'm like, the things that I like to do, I like talking. Like, I actually like talking. I like pillow talk. I like, making out. I like a guy just, just being there. The physical the physical touch. So for me, I'm like, I can get all of that and not actually open my legs. And I also want to know, even if, you can see this as like manipulative or deceptive, but I want to make it clear that I did always make it clear to the guy that I would not be having sex with them. But you know how guys are, they think that they are the one. They're the ones with the power, that you're talking was. And lo and behold, after like two months or so, they realise, they get the message, yeah, you're not getting it. So skelly woo, do you know what I mean? So I found it really hard to actually fall in love with guys, because I had this way of literally just seeing it for what it was. I'm like, they're not serious. And I would have guys on rotation, so I would not be able to, like, I guess get any deep emotions for a guy. And just because it was just more practical that way, because if one guy was messing up, we got another one, like, do you know what I mean? This is, I to be honest, I don't know if that's the business side of me, because I'm like, how do I systemize my clientele in order to make sure that I'm always have my needs kind of like met? So coming out of uni now, obviously still a virgin, it still remained true that, for me, that I needed to be in love with someone. I was still willing to, like, didn't really have it in my mind that I'm waiting for marriage is to when I actually fall in love with someone. I would say now that although it's very twisted, I felt like I was protected in a way, weirdly enough, by God in a sense, because I'm like, how to explain it? From the way I've seen things with how my interactions with guys, how someone can become so suicidal, or how their lives can be turned upside down so quickly by relationships with like their partners. For me, what I learned in my time, and what kind of fueled me as well to be more manipulative, or to just play it in the way that I did, is because I saw the carelessness of how people are. What I did, especially in my university experience, is that people don't actually care about you. Like, in their mind, they just do something. Like, they can be like, oh, they can talk to you, just like ghost you anyhow. Then in their mind, it's not that deep. How that affects a person can be so monumental to their life. That has the potential to set them back like 1 or 2 years. Like, people don't understand, like, especially when you're in your university, all these things, you're growing, you're developing, you haven't built that mental resilience yet. You haven't built that kind of like protection in order to not spiral out of control when things like this happens. And especially someone like me, I'm someone who, I don't know if it was because of like just how, you know, just growing up and having this kind of analytical mind, is that I put such a focus, such a value on having people who genuinely cared about me. And I think that's one thing that I took from my encounters with guys, is that I wanted someone who genuinely cared about me. And the person who genuinely cared about me, aka loved me, is a person who was worthy of getting the greatest gift that I owned. Because in my mind, I still feel like in my mind it's the same thing now. I saw my virginity as the most sacred thing that I had, because there's very few things in life that I feel like you can control, that I have almost complete control over, and that is my virginity. So I get to decide who I give this to. So for me, I was like, I saw it as, you know, sacred, that this is something that I can't just give to anyone because they're not worthy of it. Because when I would see how guys would literally just flippantly, listen, you're one day in love, the next day you're in McDonald's, as in you're in the drive-thru, because they literally don't care. Like, you will be having hours, spent months with this person talking to them, and they literally, at the end of the day, they can literally just ghost you, or they can just say anything. Like, they don't actually care. Like to actually deep that you can actually give someone your time, yeah, you can care about someone and they don't care about you, was such a hard pill to like swallow, but helped me grow really fast. And I felt, and I really do believe that because I was a virgin, I was able to, like, I don't think I had any really like major setback that made me kind of like spiral or anything, because I had the layer of protection that I was not, at the end of the day, I had not given them the best, the most important part of me. So at the end of the day, they hadn't won. And I knew that if I had slept with any of those guys, I would not have forgiven myself for it. Well, it would have been hard enough to forgive myself for it, and I would have proper regretted it, because they wasn't worthy. Do you get? My experience being a virgin protected me. It really has protected me over the years, and helped me kind of like understand the fundamentals of life, that people don't actually care. It is an honor, it is a luxury to be cared and loved for. And that's why I'm so particular with the people I keep around me, whether it be friends, you know, partners, even my family. I really care about people being around me who genuinely love and genuinely care about me, because I feel like that is the beauty, that is the sweet spot of life. That's where everything makes sense, because it's actually a lot harder to find that than people actually think. And yeah, just deep in how people are out for themselves, you know, just made me think in the manner of like, listen, I gotta protect myself at the end of the day. Like, these guys don't care, so let me get what I want from it, and onto the right person who's worthy, gets to have it, basically. Gets to have it. You can get it. Okay. Anyways, so after university, I would say predominantly my reasons for being a virgin was still the same. But then I came to another kind of like standstill where, because as I said before, another aspect of me being a virgin was because it kind of gave me, like, I felt like it kind of gave me some status in the Christian community. Like, I'm like, oh, I haven't, I'm still a virgin. I was like, I ain't that bad. In the church, it was shamed for you to have had sex. And basically, as things, over the years, as I would see, like, hold on a second, another aspect of Christianity that people seem to, I guess, forget, that, there is, we're taught forgiveness, taught love. And I would see how people would have been sleeping with bare people, as in they would have done a madness, yeah, and they will be forgiven. And for me, that then kind of made me pissed off, because I'm like, hold on a second, wait a minute. You would hear some, like, I guess they call it purity pastors that, if you're a virgin, if you close your leg, your blessings, all these things. So I kind of had it in my mind that, like, oh, I'm kind of like favored more if I'm like a virgin. When in reality, the case of the matter is that, listen, God forgives your sins regardless. People do have different consequences. Different things can come from someone, having sex before. They would obviously be forgiven, but they may have to deal with certain things now that they, like in marriage, when it pertains to that, because they did that. There's different things that could potentially happen. For the most part, everyone is at the same level. Do you know what I mean? Everyone sins, you just sin in different ways. And for me, that was quite hard for me to kind of like grasp, because I was like pissed off. I'm like, so I could have just been sleeping around. Like, if I was going to get forgiven, and if, I'm still at the same place, if I'm the same level as the other people who would have sex and stuff, why was I a virgin in the first place? Do you know what I mean? So that really pissed me off. And I'm not going to lie, if it wasn't for the fact that I have this need for someone to care about me, to love me in order for me to have sex, I would have been like on a matting and been like, do you know what, yeah. I wouldn't have had sex with anyone, but like I would have, just like had sex. But because it had already been such a thing in my head that I couldn't just casually have sex, I didn't. But yeah, so that was quite a hard thing to kind of like digest, like, and I had to speak to people, like Christians, about it to kind of like understand. And ultimately, I had to obviously come to the realization and understanding that, you do things for God and not for other people. And that's the point of being a Christian. You're called to be better, to a higher standard, not because another person is doing it, but because God wants you to do it, because that's your duty to God. So yeah, and that's one of the things I do like about Christianity. You are called to be better. You can't be like stagnant. You have to be like, just be a better, human being all around. I think it's also worth to note that a lot of people in general will not believe that I'm a virgin. Like, and if you kind of like saw the way I move, like with guys, in a sense, like you'll never believe that I'm actually like a virgin. I just was always had a guy, so it was very like kind of like weird or kind of like unbelievable for me to like actually be a virgin. And I kind of liked that mystery as well, that people thought I wasn't, but I actually was. Anyways, this video is to be continued. I want to talk to you guys in the next video of how I became to be plus size at the point of being engaged, because I was actually slimmer before. So I want to kind of like get you guys to understand that thread of how we got here. I will also want to talk to you guys about it in the next video of my thread of relationships and how I actually got to actually being engaged to being a fiance, so that I can tie it all in to where I am right now, being engaged, and yeah, how I feel. Because guys, I literally feel like my life is a movie. Like, it's so crazy because out of everybody, out of all my friends, you'd never think that I would be the one who's engaged. Like, you never think it. I wouldn't have expected it. And also, to give you a bit of a teaser, top of last year, I was single. Like, alone. I was joking, alone, tired. But no, I was actually single, and obviously now I'm engaged, which is so crazy what can happen in the space of, like, you know, a year. So yeah, if you guys enjoy this content, I don't know, let me know what you guys think below, your comments. Be respectful. I'm gonna come for you, but no, let me know what you guys think in the comments if you've enjoyed this. And yeah, I'll see if I will do another part if you guys enjoyed this one. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, like this video, and I'll speak to you in the next video. So to be continued. Bye.